Mike and Earl continue to wait and wonder what is happening to their team on Ararat. It's been almost a week since their 5-man expedition left for the mountain. Surely they would have heard if there was trouble. All they can do is pray for their success. Almost in position on the edge of the Ahora Gorge. Here. They've seen the computer photos that Mike and Earl showed them of object number 1. The object does look convincing. They hope they can find it tomorrow. Object number 2, the one Mike and Earl claim is a fake, still must prove, so people will not have to wonder about it and make false claims of a relic. This is the area of the North Canyon where they have not been allowed to search. So, they're in good position on the rim of the Ahora Gorge, waiting for the sun to come up on the day they hope Noah's Ark is discovered. Yücel wonders to himself if this will be the day Noah's Ark is found. Many expeditions have been sent to Ararat, but none has found in a good position, less than 600 yards from the edge of the gorge. Cereal mixed with water and heated over the fire. They have received no static from the government men with them, but then they have not strayed from the edge of the gorge. And the Ahora Gorge is within the limits where they are permitted to search. Yücel spends time to himself what the day will bring. Will they find the Ark? The top of Ararat, with its year-round covering of ice and snow, is much closer now. Their camp is located at 12,000 feet. The summit, still 5,000 feet higher. They gather up their packs, rope, and climbing pieces and head for the rim. It's not a difficult walk, but like everything else on the mountain, the rim looks closer than it actually is. But eventually they arrive on the edge of the huge gorge and take their bearings. Yücel checks the maps. Both objects should be on the opposite side of the gorge, just below what Earl Cummings calls Ark Rock. They search the canyon wall in vain, trying to match up the photos they have in their hands, rocks and terrain across the gorge. It looks as if it would be simple, but it is not. The huge gorge was formed in 1840 during an earthquake. This section of the mountain literally exploded, blowing out rocks and ice and snow and creating this split right to the core of the mountain. All of the town of Ahora down below was destroyed. Everyone killed, except for a few who were on the slopes with their animals. Yücel can't locate either of the objects from their present vantage point, so decides to come down into the canyon and try to get a different angle on the far slope. They climb and slide thousands of feet to a spot lower in the canyon. At this point, the gorge is 6,000 feet deep, and going down looks like fun. But a 2,000-foot slide down means a 2,000-foot climb back to the top. They reach a small flat area and again search the other side for a sign of the Ark. Earl's photos show them all the rocks look the same. Dynamite thinks he sees something in with the photos from down here lower in the gorge. There, sow sticking out. That's got to be it. Yücel and the others look, have all. And there, Muzaffer, the Turkish cinematographer. It's rock and large. Too large to be the Ark. It is not Noah's Ark. There's no mistake about that. Photos of it they tried to make people think they were seeing part of the Ark. It's a to deceive the public. just as Mike and Earl had suspected. The closer you get, the more obvious it is just a rock. Not Noah's Ark, but not unexpected. They get the United States and their zeal to find Noah's Ark, or whatever. A film company obtained it to make fraudulent claim. Fakes and opportunists. Yücel climbs up a wall of rock, clear shot, more of a straight line across to the object. He thinks to himself about the Ark, 450 feet long, 45 feet high. It is so large it should be easy to spot, but Mount Ararat is large too, over 100 square miles in size. And there's so many canyons, blind areas, ice cliffs. The Ark could be anywhere. Maybe not. And why would people lie about finding the Ark? Noah's relic. Why would people lie about finding something like that? This object we have found on the other side of the canyon is just a rock. Why would people lie about something like that, muses Yücel. On the long climb back to camp, the men think about their distinguished part of their goal. They have located and is long and tiring. It took only 1 hour to drop down his cow. Yücel and Dynamite are the first out. They're glad to rid themselves of their packs and begin a much-deserved rest. As shadows begin to fill the gorge, the temperature plummets to below freezing readings, and the rest of the team slowly, wearily climbs out of the canyon. There is no wood anywhere on Ararat. In fact, there is no trees within 100 miles of the mountain. Fires must be made with dried animal dung. There's only a little odor, and it does provide warmth. Tonight is a time to relax and think about what they've accomplished. They did find objective number 2, and it was a rock. If they can find object number 1, maybe it will turn out to be the Ark. It's easy to speculate on what might be. What they need now is some well-earned sleep. They again head for the rim of the canyon and begin their search. Jail side of the canyon. Now that they have located objective number 2, it's easy to spot among the rock formations on the other side. Yesterday, they went down into the canyon to spot number 2. Today, Yücel decided to climb higher in order to get a different angle of the opposite wall and hopefully make it easier to spot objective 1. The rock breaks easily. They have to be very careful as they climb. Yücel, with his experience climbing Ararat, leads the way. Maps international expeditions provided them. It would be almost impossible to locate the 2 objects they seek. From the side of the canyon, they are able to get an excellent view from top to bottom of the other side. At about 13,000 feet, they settle down to search the far canyon wall. Muzaffer takes his camera and slowly begins zooming in on an object of interest. They check Earl's photo of objective number 1 against the canyon wall. Suddenly, at the head of the gorge, tons of ice and snow break loose from the snowmass above and pour down in a tremendous avalanche. They're stunned by the noise and the beauty. Then, realizing they're in no danger themselves, They scramble for a position to photograph this fantastic sight. Two high waterfalls of ice cascade over the rocks into the canyon below. With the noise of the avalanche still rumbling in the distance, Muzaffer returns to the object of interest on the far wall and continues to zoom in. They compare the object in the far canyon with Earl's photograph. The angle of the photograph and where they are now sitting is different, but the cave on the left, rock face, and the surrounding rock formation seems to be correct. Muzaffer moves in as close as possible. They compare it back and forth with the photograph and are convinced it is the same object. This, too, is definitely not Noah's Ark. It is another rock formation. Some publications intimated that this object was Noah's Ark. Obviously, it is not. Dynamite takes his 35mm camera and makes several close-up shots. This photograph Mike and Earl had blown up with computer enhancement was taken accidentally by Earl Cummings on an expedition in 1968. Since then, no expedition has been allowed on the mountain to check out this object closely. The object looks slightly different from the photograph. Erosion has taken its toll during the past 10 years. We are looking at it from a higher angle, but the surrounding rocks prove that it is the same object, and it is not Noah's Ark. They are somewhat dejected as they make their way back down the mountain to the rim. They do have a victory of sorts. They have located object number 1. Then Yücel, the professional climber with the most experience, unexpectedly turns his ankle at the very end of the climb. That's one problem they definitely do not need. Shadows begin to fill the gorge, and they know they've got to head back as soon as possible. Yücel takes it easy on his foot as they make their way back down the mountain to camp. From their vantage point on the mountain, the view that stretches below them is all Russia. It's easy to see why foreigners have a tough time getting permission to climb in this extremely sensitive area. The next morning, Yücel has some distressing news for his crew. He tells them he is going to climb alone into the snow and try to find somehow the hiding place of Noah's Ark. Muzaffer and Dynamite tell him he's crazy. No one should know better than he that it's dangerous and foolhardy to climb alone in the mountains. They are adamant. They will not let him go. But Yücel is stubborn. He tells them of a dream he had that night in which he found the Ark. It was so real to him, he took the dream as a sign that he must go into the snow and search alone. At least take Muzaffer, the cameraman. He'll be of some help if you get into trouble. The government men sit quietly and listen. If he wants to be a fool and kill himself, let him go. Yücel knows that climbing alone is not smart, and in case of trouble, Muzaffer will not be of much help. But his friends feel better. These smooth-shaped stones Yücel is climbing over are lava rocks. Specifically, it's called pillow lava. It obtains its interesting pillow-like appearance when the lava is spewed out under great depths of water. And these rocks at 14,000 feet are dramatic proof that At one time, Mount Ararat was underwater. From their lofty perch, Yücel and Muzaffer can easily see the rock formation down below that many had claimed was Noah's Ark. Their findings have proved differently. Higher and higher they climb. Muzaffer films while Yücel leads the way. Within 6 hours, they're in snow. Yücel makes his way over the fringe of a small glacier and continues to climb. As the sun sets, a strong wind is blowing, and it's bitter cold. It's hard, slow going in the thin, high air on Ararat. Yücel has no particular direction he plans to follow, only up. He wished there was a time to go around the mountain to the North Canyon area, where the government men forbid them to go. But from where they are, it is too far. There is no time. They spend the night huddled together in a depression of a rock cliff, each fighting his personal battle with the cold. The next morning, they continue climbing up, over the rocks and across a huge snowfield. Yücel tests the snow for thickness. They are not roped together, and a fall into the deep crevasse would mean certain death. At a small ice ledge, Yücel has trouble getting his ice axe to stick. Finally, he pulls himself up and onto the snow. But suddenly it dawns on him. Along the ledge, underneath where wood might wash down from above, that might be a good place to search. He begins a systematic search of the icy crevasse up the slope. And suddenly he lets out a yell to Muzaffer. Look, look, come quick. Hurry, film this. At first, Muzaffer can see nothing but Yücel digging in the snow. There it is, wood. Wood on Ararat. A small piece of light-colored wood found in the ice and snow on Ararat. Yücel was ecstatic. He believed he had found a piece of the Ark, just like in his dream. There was only one piece, and not a big piece at that. But with no trees within 100 miles of Ararat, any wood found there is significant. Yücel stuffs it in his jacket for safekeeping and begins running back down the mountain, leaving poor Muzaffer to fend for himself. Once out of the ice, back down the mountain close to the camp, Yücel shouts with joy to his worried team members. They couldn't imagine what he was so excited about. Muzaffer tried to dramatize Yücel's excitement a little too much here with a big Hollywood finish. But so what? It was quite an accomplishment. This is the wood Yücel found on Mount Ararat. It's been analyzed as cypress, a type of wood that many believe is the gopher wood described in the Bible. Carbon dating has been inconclusive. It's the opinion of international expeditions that this particular piece of wood did not come from the Ark. How it got on the mountain in the ice and snow, they do not know. What they do know, however, is that object number one, much publicized as Noah's Ark, is not. This piece of rock formation clearly proves that. And object number two with the fake lines on it too is not Noah's Ark. It is solid rock. This has not been an effort to disprove Noah's Ark. On the contrary, international expeditions believe the Bible is true. And the Bible states that Noah's Ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. So it still must be there. In this film, we've tried to give you the true story of the search for the Ark and to raise some puzzling questions that they still believe demand honest answers. Such as, why was George Green murdered in British Guiana? And why have his Ark pictures disappeared? Now, is David Duckworth lying? Why would he dream up a story about the Smithsonian and Geographic having a joint expedition to Ararat and supposedly finding the Ark? Now, here are letters. Letters from the Smithsonian and Geographic saying they've never had an expedition to Ararat. Well, if that's true, why does Air Force Chaplain Schaefer believe his men talked with representatives from the Geographic just after they returned from Ararat? And finally, with our own Turkish expedition team, why were they not allowed to look for the Ark on the North Canyon? It's all very strange. Very strange indeed. It is reassuring to know that if God wants Noah's Ark to be shown to the world, no individual or nation will be able to hide the truth. God's will be done.